being sentenced to death, being on death row, is something that I used to read in the papers. And I've never thought it would even occur to a friend of mine, leave alone me, even to somebody that I knew. I thought it was all a joke. I thought the judge would say, I'm just joking, I sat there, and then this small guy started talking. One of the other guys told me, Karibu, hapa ni kwa Shetani. Welcome, this is Shetani's place. I said, okay, so Shetani talked for the first time, and he said, you among the two are my woman. So apart from the fact that I was freaked out, I also kind of smiled as in, what was this guy saying? Woman, he's a woman. He slapped me. I've never been blown out like that. He slapped me so hard I started bleeding through my mouth, through my nose. And he told me, please, I'm just touching you. I told you to eat up. Oh my God, I didn't know how I finished that food. I finished it, I swallowed it like nothing. And when I finished, he had some pills in his hand. And he told me, swallow these pills. But by the time I started to make an excuse, he slapped me again. So I swallowed the pills. And in a couple of minutes, I was feeling the flow of the song. I was feeling everything. I was high, completely out of my mind. When the judge hit the mantle and said that I sentence you to death 4 times, I thought somebody else he was talking about somebody else, but I was the only one who was standing at the dock. From the onset, when that case actually started, I never got the idea that there was anything that I was going to be taken for anything, because I knew rightfully I was going to win the case. All the roads were leading for my victory. Literally, I had taken 2 years for the judge for me to have my hearing, because do you remember during this particular time, it was in the year back when I was taken in the year 2005. And during this era, the justice system was so, what do I call it? Apart from the word corruption, of which maybe I will elaborate later about that part, it was so inadequate. That's what I could say. It took me 2 years for me to get my hearing. In other words, I was remanded in community maximum prison for 2 years before that hearing commenced. And by the time it commenced, it took about 1 week, and it finished with the blow that I am sentenced to death 4 times for having done nothing, literally completely nothing, not knowing whatever hit me. Everything I heard from then was in slow motion. Whatever the judge was talking about, whatever was, whenever I was, from there when I was being led even to the dungeons, because in the courts there are dungeons underground, where people are put before you are taken back to the place where you're imprisoned. I mean, there were those orders that now that, yes, you've been sentenced to death, but everybody was talking in slow motion, because after realizing it is I was being sentenced to death, and after seeing my people crying, and when my lawyer actually kind of shaved his shoulders, like, what else can we do? We can't do it. It's beyond his power, I realized I'm gone, I'm doomed. Being sentenced to death, being on death row, is something that I used to read in the papers. And I've never thought it would even occur to a friend of mine, leave alone me, even to somebody that I knew. And but for the first time, I was cuffed. Yes, I came in cuffed. I was handcuffed when I came in, but this time there's a different way when you become sentenced, the way they cuff you. It's like with a lot of malice. You know, they really know what you are right now. You're wanted, you're a killer, you're what? You're a robber. As for me, I was sentenced to death because of allegedly having robbed a Kenyan judge of some money in his home, actually in his civil servant's home in Lang'ata. First of all, I was employed by the Meru County Council as an accountant. I was the accountant of the county council. My wife was working for an NGO called Farm Africa. As the accountant, I was one of the signatories of the checks and all those things. Actually, I was in charge of one account which was called Kenya Local Authority Transfer Fund. I don't know if it's still there because right now it is devolution. The county is devolved to county governments. That time there was the municipal council and there was the county council. And during that time, me working as an accountant, I had only two other top bosses. That was the clerk of the county and the treasurer of the county. And three of us would sign checks. But little did I know that the clerk was my actually immediate boss, and it was actually the overall boss, had a plan to steal from the county council. So the finance committee actually were involved also in part of auditing my office. And at a particular time, they asked for all my documents, including my checkbooks and my vouchers, you know, the book of accounts and all those things. And I gave them because it was a routine. It was a routine at least once or twice in a year. And I gave them, and that I usually used to love that time because I got kind of free time, you know, to go do my things while they take 2 or 3 days to check on my books and everything. So I gave out my books, and but unfortunately, that was not their intention. The intention was, as per se, I will tell you, I came to notice later on when they gave me my books that the bank was calling me to clear a check that was written to Andrevi agencies. The check was for 4,165,000 shillings, and I was being asked, can we clear? Now KCB, the bank where the county held the accounts, the local authority transfer fund account and the general account, I used to operate both of them. They called me on the fact that I'm the last person to know which check should be cleared and which check I've posted. This was an exterior check, it was not internal. So they had to call me because the amount was a little bit large, and during those times, the counties were, I would say they were poor because like us, we had salary arrears of about 6 months. Yeah, almost the whole country actually. Or maybe Nairobi County could pay their salaries in time, but they also had arrears of about a month or 2 months. So in Meru we had about six months arrears, and so the central government would help us with that. What I'm telling you, it's called Local Authority Transfer Fund. Now to cater for things like services that we really have to render as a county, and especially part of it was to pay the salaries. So they had to ask me if they should clear this check to Andrevi agencies, but I didn't write any voucher, I didn't write any check about that. So I dismissed it and told them, no. They called my phone, my desk, and I told them, no, it must be municipal council because there was municipal council and there's a county council. And then they later called me again. They told me, Tony, we are going to clear this check because it's it's local authority transfer fund. And I was also like, okay, let me just check, but I'm very sure it is the municipal council. So I took my checkbook and I told them to read the check number. And as I continued reading, I knew the flow of my check numbers, how they go. So it's like if it's 01110124, 25 was missing. 0011, you know, then 25, there's 26, you know, the way checklists go. So the last two numbers, I saw that was my check. That was from, and when I went to check on my checkbook completely, I saw the leaf was missing, and it was plucked completely from the bottom. Even the counterfoil was also pulled out. So I called the bank immediately, and they told me, but we are already clearing this check. It's already, by the time it gets to 3 o'clock, we'll have to clear it. It was 2:30. My God, okay. I was big in body size. I don't know what you think when I say big and I look big already. I was big, I know I was big, bigger than this you could see. And you know, there was no vehicle to ferry me to the bank. So literally I had to run. I just had to fly because from where I was to where the bank is, it was about maybe half a kilometer. And I remember very well I was weighing 121 kgs, and there was no car to take me there, so I had to run and get to the doors before they close the bank, otherwise they clear the check. And if they clear the check, that means it is me, it's my redundancy that has made the check to be cleared, because they asked me if they should clear the check. So I ran, and by the time they were closing the door, I pushed the door, and everybody thought maybe it was somebody who's coming to rob the bank. But the bankers knew me. So I just shouted very loudly and said, don't clear, don't clear. I just said, don't clear, loudly. And everybody was on standstill, and they saw it was me, and the teller could see it was me, and I tell him, don't clear the check. So I stopped the check. I managed to stop the check. It was on a Friday. It was in the year 2005. It was in the year 2005. I stopped the check, and immediately after I finished, the manager complimented me, and he told me this thing would have gone through because I was the custodian of the checkbooks. So I called my boss immediately after I got out of the manager's office, and I told him, oh, do you know what I managed to do? I just managed to stop a check that was going to be cashed by Andrevi agencies. And I don't know who wrote it. It is a fake check. I don't know. I just saw that somebody plucked a leaf from my checkbook, and my boss, okay. So it was on a Friday. He used to stay in Thika. And he used to commute on Fridays to come to his place in Thika. So when I called him, I was like, okay, so you managed, yeah, so it's not going to go through. I told him it's not going to go through, boss, yeah, okay, good. Then I'll see you on Monday. That was it. I felt good, definitely, to have stopped such amount of money because I remember that time we used to pay the whole county. I used to pay a salary per month about 7 million. I used to pay the councillors and the staff about it was 3 million, but in 2 months, because we used to pay after 2 months, 3 point something million. So it used to amount to 7 point something million per 2 months. Yeah. So 4 million really meant a lot if it would have come out from the coffers, because it would have meant that many guys would have gone hungry, because the government used to precisely give us money, yeah, calculated figures. Actually, I celebrated on that Friday. I did celebrate on that Friday, but on Sunday, my boss had come all the way from Thika to Meru, and was preparing to go to church with my family. I had somebody hooting, and then when I checked, it was the county car, and out of the county car came out my boss and the driver. And then he told me, just tell me the whole story again. And I told him the whole story, what happened and everything, just like I'm telling you, or I'm saying right now. And he told me that was it, that was it, okay. Then we went to church. On Monday, the next day, he came again at about 6:30 in the morning. I usually used to go to work. I usually was going as early as 7:30, but he was here at 6:30. So, and you came and asked me again, are you sure what you told me was right? Do you have a different story about what you told me, or the version is the same? I told him the version is the same. You can hear it even from the bank manager if you want to. He told me, oh, in that note, just let me call him. It was early, it was very early. Let me call him so that we can meet at the bank right now. So you get clothed and let's move out together. So he waited for me. By 7:30 we were at the bank and the manager had come. So the manager narrated the whole story again the same way I did. And the manager told my boss, and I told him, Tony did a wholesome good of to have stopped the check. I could see there's something wrong with my boss. He was not happy about this thing. He didn't even acclaim, the way somebody tell you did something good. But I thought maybe it's because the attempt also was equally bad. Whoever attempted maybe would have actually, spoiled his name, like why the county, why not the municipal? And he's the head. Maybe the head office, maybe in Nairobi, somebody else, maybe he would have received a letter in that note. That's what I thought. But after 2 weeks, I was told I'm being called in my boss's office. So, and whoever told me, I wish you luck. So I went to my boss's office, and when I was passing, before I got into his door, the secretaries all, like, I'm looking at them, they were all looking down, and they knew me, like we used to talk, but none of them were talking to me that particular time. So I got something, like something was not good. I got an abinger, that feeling that you feel that something is wrong. When I opened the boss's door, I saw 2 men in suits, and I was told to sit on the other side. And then my boss told me, these guys are from anti-fraud unit Nairobi, and they have come because of the check, and actually purposely because of you. So let them talk to you. Let them tell you why they're here. They told me, actually, Mr. Tony, or Mr. Antony, for that matter, we have just come to arrest you. Why? Because of the check. But you see, the guy who was a sergeant, he was called Sergeant Maina, told me, you can explain these things to the court in Nairobi. We just have to leave. Now, yes, now. Right now, as in, yes, please, can we walk? And they stood up with me, and we walked out the door. I thought it was all a joke, but they put me at the back of the car. And both of them, the driver and the sergeant, they were all policemen. They told me, we have put you there, not because we don't know that you can run, but I think you know what this is, He showed me a gun. The driver said, I also have mine. They showed me both guns. And I said, I cannot run because I didn't do this thing. They told me, yeah, that's a reason we want you to go and tell the judges that way. They asked me, are you going to inform anybody? I said, yes, please, I can inform my wife. Where is your wife? I told her she's on leave, fortunately, so we can find her at home if you do please willing to take me there. They said, yeah, let's go. Show us the way. On the way, the sergeant asked me, is there a place here where you can eat nyama choma? I told them, yeah, there's a place here where we eat nyama choma. He told me, okay, show us. They went and they did 3 kilos, each of us a kilo. I couldn't eat anything completely. They told me, eat up. Where you're going is, let's not, just please don't play with this food. we don't want to open to you completely what is happening, but just try and eat this food because you might not find this food, such food any longer. I didn't eat. I couldn't. I couldn't eat anything. I took a soda and that's it. And so I led them to my place. And on arrival, when my wife opened the door, she read between my face and she read between the lines and she knew something was amiss. I was not smiling and I just told her that I'm going and I've just been arrested going to Nairobi. So I went and changed from my suit. I wore some jeans and because I know definitely there's something about the cells that being held in the cells and all those things. I took a heavy jacket and then I left. We went into the car. As we were moving on, they passed through Meru police station. They took two other people from the police station. One of them, I knew him. He was the chairman of the committee, finance committee. So when I tell you that, it means that he was a councillor, yeah? And the chairman means he was engraved, he was the leader of the committee that actually chaired whoever investigated my books. I think you understand to that part. So I started dotting out, joining the dots, because now this guy, he's the chairman of the finance committee. He's a councillor, yes. This other guy, I don't know him. But why is he being held with me and we're all going to Nairobi? And literally just the other day, he was holding my books and he had my check and my check actually got missing. So I started saying, would it be? Would it be? So I kept quiet. I couldn't say anything. I could see, he couldn't look straight into my eyes because he was feeling something. But when we got to Embu, we were put in, actually the car broke down. The car it was a saloon, it was a Toyota Corolla saloon. It broke down. We were supposed to go straight to Nairobi, but it broke down in Embu. So we spent the night in Embu police station. I requested the police officer not to put me in the same cells with them. Something I felt in my heart that these people know about whatever is happening, yeah? But I didn't know who the other brown guy was. He was tall, brown, and slender. I'll quote that tall, brown, and slender in another part anyway. So when I was put in a different cell, I heard them talking. The doors were not closed. So I heard the chairman talking to this guy. He said, it's better we disclose these things to Tony. Because later on, he's still going to know. After all, we're in one case. This is one case. So we'd better disclose these things to him so that at least we can find a solution, all of us together. By the time they were talking that, I was really trying to listen between But fortunately, when there was a shift of the police guard, the guard who came at 12 o'clock decided to merge us together. So they came to my cell. And when they came, I asked them, no, I heard everything that you said there. This is a case, I'm inside. There is no way I can go out. And it seems that you guys know something about this thing. Can you tell me? So this brown guy said, yeah, let's tell him. And then the chairman said, no, I don't want to mention his name, It's just right. He said, no. And then actually the brown guy persisted, no. This is where it was. The check, now the chairman and the clerk, actually, they're the people who did what? The clerk managed to give a command to me for me to hand out my books of accounts to the committee, finance committee. And the chairman of the finance committee plucked the check that this brown guy is a professional forger. Forged the check, the check, the signature of the clerk and the treasurer. So this guy is a professional forger from Nairobi. he was caught in Nairobi. He was escorted to Meru. He was put in the cells there. I was caught and joined among them. And now we were being taken back. After all the investigation, we've been taken back together, all of us now to Nairobi. So I came to understand that's what they did. That's what they confessed. That's what they said. But there's nothing I can do. We're in the same case. We went to court, and obviously, when you go to the doc, you're asked if you're guilty or do you know about this. You say no. Then either you're remanded or you're bailed, you're taken off with a bond. We were given bonds of 30,000 each. And during that time, when you're given a bond and it's about 3 o'clock, if you don't have that money and it's cash, most probably you'll spend your time, you'll spend that night in prison. We were all taken to industrial area, prison. Fortunately enough, my wife had called my mom, and they were on their way to Nairobi. On their way, they called my uncle. That time he was the deputy commissioner of prisons during that time. So he helped in a way to actually help the bond to fasten, or else to acquire the bond faster. But it wasn't as fast as you can think, because we were taken to the industrial area, and that short time, it was like hell on earth, because when I was taken to a block called Block E, so that I can wait my bond to be paid, and the time that you're supposed to pay the bond, actually it's between working hours, and it was already past 5. It was past 5 at about 6 o'clock, so there was no possibility of me getting out of that place until maybe the next day. But what my uncle did, he managed to get me out of that place that was called Block E, a place where when I got in, first of all, even the shirt that I was wearing was taken. I was left on my boxers. Yeah, I had already gotten out my belt, my one shoe, the normal things that you do when you get to prison in remand. But when I got there, those guys just took everything literally, because they were searching for money from me. Anyway, the police prompted them to give me back my clothes, and I was shifted to another block called Block D. Now, in Block D, I've never met another guy like that one. In Block D, there were only 2 or 3 people in one cell. And it's my uncle actually who enabled me to go there. So because of the comfort, the fact there were no fleas and all those things, the things that people run away from, and then there were no bullies. But I met the person who was in Block D, that cell that I was put in, a guy who was called Shetani. Yeah, he was mercenary in the later years in the government of Idi Amin. That guy was tall, maybe I would say 7 point something. Yeah, tall and huge, very masculine and black, and 2 other guys. So when I was put inside, these guys were even cooking inside. They had a stove. It is a cell, but they had a stove. Now that guy didn't talk. He didn't have anything except a pant on him, and he had put his body. He has oiled his body completely. He was shining, oil everywhere. The guy was huge. If I remember him, I literally just even now freak. I sat there, and then this small guy started talking. The other guys told me, "Karibu, hapa ni kwa Shetani. Welcome this is Shetani's place. There are some rules here that we have to give you so that you can be able to stay with us amicably, peacefully. And these are the rules. You must respect Shetani with everything that you have. Whenever Shetani talks, you must listen. You cannot talk when he's talking. You must eat after he has eaten. And whatever he eats, you must eat. You should not question him. And whatever you want to talk, you must pass through me. Eventually he finished, he said, and whoever is in this room belongs to Shetani. I didn't really get those words right until when I knew what he really meant, because eventually after they cooked their concoctions and then gave it to me, I didn't want to eat. Because of the things that I've gone through that day and everything. And that's the first time I saw Shetani's teeth when I said I won't eat. He just laughed. He looked at me and he didn't say anything else. And then the guy, the small guy, said, "You've just done something literally very wrong. You should have even eaten a bite. Now it's up to you, you've done something wrong." And I said, "I just don't feel like eating. I've gone through a very hard day today." He said, "Okay." So Shetani talked for the first time and he said, "You among the two are my woman." Yeah? "You among the two are my women. And you should behave like the rest of the other women are behaving. First of all, you have to remove your shirt and apply this oil on your body, just like you see the rest of them." You know, he was shining because he was black. He was shining that oil so much. And I didn't know which kind of oil is this. And then he told me, "You have to eat whatever I'm going to eat and whatever I'm eating right now. And then the rest, I shall tell you what you shall do and where you shall sleep." So apart from the fact that I was freaked out, I also kind of smiled as in what is this guy saying? Woman? He's a woman. He slapped me. I've never been blown out like that. He slapped me so hard I started bleeding through my mouth, through my nose. And he told me, "Please, I'm just touching you. I told you to eat up." Oh my God, I didn't know how I finished that food. I finished it, I swallowed it like nothing. And when I finished, he had some pills in his hand. And he told me, "Swallow these pills." I didn't want to swallow. I hesitated. I didn't want to swallow. And he just doing, like the way crunching his hands, like he wants to give me another blow. The other guy who never talked completely, he talked and he told me, "Tony, I heard your name is Tony." "Yes. I came here because of fraud and I stole in a bank through fraud. And I also hear you've come here because of fraud. But I managed to give Shetani 50,000 the first day I saw him, and I give him 20,000 every week for me to have my space at my corner. Now, if you can agree to give him such money, then he won't touch you. But if you don't have, you'll just have to submit and take those pills." I asked him, "What are these pills for?" He told me those pills are not bad. They'll just make you feel kind of happy. You'll put some little music in a small radio and you feel like, motivated to dance along. And kind of the way you feel when you take a couple of beers. So definitely I knew there were drugs. Yeah, he was trying to dose me off or something so that he can do whatever. But by the time I started to make an excuse, he slapped me again. And this time, I think it took me a very long time to heal the wound that he created in one of my eyes, inside my eye. So I swallowed the pills. And when I swallowed, they all clapped so loudly. They clapped. And they put, there was a small radio at the corner, and they put the small radio. And they put the oil on me in this, both of them, the two ladies, let me call them that way, of Shetani. They started applying the oil on me. And in a couple of minutes, I was in tune. I was feeling the flow of the song, you know. I was feeling the flow of the song. I was feeling everything. I was high, completely out of my mind. I thank God. Because at that prime time, at that vulnerable time, at that particular time, when I was in dissolution, I didn't know what was happening. I was gone now completely. I was giving up. I've given in to whatever Shetani wanted. Actually, these people are touching my body with my oil, with the oil. They are touching my body. They are touching my legs, and you know, definitely now I was just, the door was knocked loudly. It was the guards. The guards opened the door. They knocked, and then they opened the door, and then they called my name out. They told me your bond is your bond is good. So I took my clothes, and they took me out. That's where God comes in, you see. It's just, so anything would have happened from that time. You know what would have happened. So that's just a short part of saying that was my first time actually to face an imprisonment. The case went on. I don't want to say who the judge that presided over the case, but it's somebody well known. But we had to part with another 30,000 for the judge. Somebody came from the courts and told us, this is what is wanted of you, and you'll give the money this particular day, and you'll come for your hearing judgment on this particular day. And that's what happened. We came, we brought the money, we were given a hearing date for the judgment. We came for our judgment, and there was no case to answer. And we are let to go, all of us, including the culprits. So that was my first time to face imprisonment, but that was minute considering to what now I went through. When this case, the first case finished, I got back to work. But my boss was not happy because I'm the person who stopped the check. So he actually moved me from one office to another, looking for all minute mistakes, until one day I was dismissed from the county. With no reason whatsoever. But he just said that my services were no longer required by the county. And I could not take my case to anybody because if I take, he was overall, you see. And everybody knew this is because of what I did. Because it all came out that it was about the check. So I lost my job, and also my wife, where she was working, she lost her job. Because NGOs do the work in contracts. So our contract finished. So we were all jobless at the same time, actually. When I just lost my job this month, she lost her job the same month, not even losing because our contract was final and she was not renewed. So we stayed home. It happened so fast. We were social drinkers. And as we went along, we could not manage our drinking any longer because out of everything now, this was outside from our savings. Was from our savings. Whatever we used to drink now, whatever we continued drinking was from our savings. And we could not manage our drinking because it was at any time of the day. So eventually we could not pay our rent where we were staying. And that time my child was small. My mother had a couple of houses for rentals, so she offered to give us one, and we moved there. After a couple of days, my wife was not content because of the fact that my mom was watching her so much while she was drinking, and she has lost her job, and the husband is also drinking. So just the way parents do advise, the family, please don't drink. If your husband is drinking, try and find a solution about this thing, because if you both sleep, then you don't have a family. But she took it her way. And one day when I was expecting them at home, they never came home with my child. She went to pick my child and they never came home. I waited, it was 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. She called me. She's in Nairobi. She's at her parents' home. She used to stay in Dagoretti Ndonyo. Why did you go without telling me? And what happened? And how come you went even without packing? And with the child with the school uniform? I mean, she told me I cannot stay close to your mom. She's so annoying. She's so much on my page because of drinking. She doesn't see you drinking. She's always seeing me drinking. She's always talking about me. She's always waiting and calling me. So I decided to go to my parents. I also have parents. And I asked her, what about my child? What about our child? She was schooling in a good school. She said she's going to look for another school there. With what? You're out of finances, you're out of job, I'm out of job. How can you go and look for another school? She said God is going to provide. So we all of us, we were mad about each other, and I didn't talk to her for a couple of weeks. So one day, it felt in my heart, I want to see my daughter. So this is where it all started, about my imprisonment. Because I had some money in my account in Barclays Bank. I decided, let me do this. Fatherly love, I'll go give them at least 200,000 so that she can find a good school for my daughter. And at least for the time being, they can manage their welfare. Yeah, while they're there at my in-laws. So on my day to go, I packed a very big, large suitcase of all the clothes that belonged to her. You remember she was a secretary in the NGO, so she used to have skirt suits, very expensive skirt suits, because she could buy for herself, I could buy for her. Money was not a problem when I was working. And especially the fact that I didn't depend on my salary. Even kickbacks were there. So it was a very large, big suitcase of her clothes and my baby's clothes. And at that time, I had already started being an alcoholic. Alcoholic as in I cannot do without binging or else taking something in the morning to keep me stable. I studied the shakes. I had started the queer behavior of needing a shot for normal operations because I was drinking every day without even eating. So when I got to the stage, I had a matatu. That's what actually was keeping me running. I had a matatu that was running, local running, that used to give me money to survive, apart from me going to my account. So this money that was in the account, that's what I decided, part of it, I'll take it to her for what I told you. When I got to the stage to get into public means, to take public means to Nairobi, there was wines and spirits close to the place. So I decided, let me just take some 2-3 shots before I go. And those people knew me. By the time I took 2 or 3 shots, I looked, I didn't see the suitcase. It had already gone. Somebody had already stolen it. And people were saying, "No, it is yours. I saw somebody at the other corner." I tried to follow it up, and then along the way I said, there's no thief who can steal such a luggage and wait for you to go and see him. So I'd rather just forget it. And I forgot about it. I took the matatu to Nairobi and I came. Luckily enough, I had not informed her that I was coming with their clothes, so there was not going to be any fight. When I got to their home, I received a very bad reception from the parents. Very bad reception. Actually, I was the one who was saying hi. They didn't even want to give out their hand. So I asked myself in my heart, what could she have told them? Why she came here, because the reception was very, very bad. I thought maybe she said I hit her. Was that a possibility? Or did she say maybe my mother must have done something wrong to her? I don't know. But it was a very bad reception. And in any case, whatever took me there, that's what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to accomplish the fact that I'm giving them money and telling her that I want my child to go to a good school and I'm leaving back to Meru. When I got there, it was about evening, so I couldn't come back to Meru the same day. So I slept at her brother's place. Usually, whenever I used to go and visit there, they used to give me very good guidance. Sleep in their home, a lot of respect. But this time, it was about 10 o'clock at night when they were looking for a place for me among the brothers, because he had 9 brothers, where I'm going to sleep. And I slept in a house belonging to the youngest brother of my wife. Anyway, that's not what had brought me there. So I slept, and in the morning, I went with her and got her the money, transferred the money to her account, came back with her at home, said bye to my daughter. And when I was leaving for Meru, the brother that I slept in his house asked me, "Brother, can you buy me at least a beer or just one? My head is off." I told him, I would love to, because I need one too. So we ended up in, that place is called Ndonyo, in Dagoretti. We ended up in a bar. And when we went into that bar, we drank ourselves. I was drinking myself of the sorrows, that I saw and everything, all that thing. And the brother was drinking because meeting me, and these were free offers, So he never got to tell me that time is elapsing, and I never got to know the time was going, that I need to go back to Meru. So by 5 o'clock, it's when I realized, I was still traveling to Meru, but when I calculated my time, I couldn't make it to Meru, because from Dagoretti to main town to Nairobi, it's about 2 hours with the traffic. And when I get there, there'll be no cars, no vehicles to ferry me to Meru. So I decided we sleep in the same hotel, and it was hotel and a bar, restaurant and a bar. And we slept there, and that was my last time to see Meru in a couple of years, because to see my home place in a couple of years, because we slept, yes, and in the morning while we were taking our breakfast, I had guns being clicked on my face, like the way you could look at a war movie, or what do you call a hijack or something, the way you see so many guns on your head, you don't know which one to look at first, because there's so many. About about 6 to 7 guns on my head, and I was told not to move even a muscle. We were taking our breakfast. I was taking my tea and bread and eggs. And I was told not to move a muscle. Me and my brother-in-law, and we were told to stand up. And when we stood, they ransacked us. They checked us everywhere. They checked my bag. And then they asked which room did they spend. Some of them went to the room, and then the rest that remained to ask me, and where is it? I asked them, what? Where is what? The gun. They said, the gun. I said, I don't have a gun. In fact, the closest I've ever seen a gun, it's right now when it's close to my head. I've never seen a gun even as close as this. They said, you've got a gun. We are told you came with a gun yesterday last night, and you spent here, and you flanked the gun to so many people. You wanted even to rob this place. I said, that's a lie. You can ask even the owner. I paid even in advance, and we are taking a breakfast. They said, we are not content. We are going with you to the police station. They put us in a boot, in a saloon car, a Nissan. I can remember these old Nissan saloons that used to have a carved, very low back. So we had to, we had to squeeze there, me and my brother-in-law. And they took us to Dagoretti Ndonyo police post. It was a police post. But when they put us in the police post, they never even wanted to know. They never left us even, they never recorded in the OB why they arrested us. So when we asked the policemen, and why are we here? We want to know why we are here. They said, we don't know. Those people who caught you, they are flying squad people from Pangani police station. And I don't know why they dropped you people here and they left, and some of them are from Langata police station. So we don't know why you're here. And then why are you holding us then? They said, I don't know. Let's wait until when it gets to 6 o'clock. If they don't come for you, we release you. So we waited. By 6 o'clock, they came, and we were picked by others, not the same people who picked us. They took us to Karen police station. When they took us to Karen police station, they didn't record in the OB. We asked the same questions, and they told us the same thing. We spent Karen police station 2 days. By that time, we got to call our people, my brother and my mother in Meru, and I called my wife in where she was in Dagoretti. And we told them what had happened. So they came, but when they came to Karen police station, we were already taken to Langata police station. That was the 3rd day. When they came there, we didn't know even what to tell them. But we asked them to read what was written in the OB, and there was nothing that was written. So what my mom was told by the OCS was that these people was just mistaken. We are going to release them, so you guys can go back. Please, we are sorry. It was just a mistaken identity. So they came and told us it was a mistaken identity, and you guys are going to be released. So we said, okay. And that day passed, and the next day came, and we asked, we want to see the OCS. We were supposed to be released yesterday. And we are not. Oh, they said, oh, the policeman said, let me go check with the OCS. And then he came back and he said, oh, yes, it's true. You're supposed to come. We are sorry about these things. But right now, once you're in these books, sometimes it's very difficult just to live that way. So Mkubwa anaitisha kitu kidogo. Both of you, 5,000. I didn't even want to argue because, given the situation. So I called my wife and told her to come with 10,000. Actually, to go and withdraw the money that I gave her, come with 10,000. And she came within half an hour because from Langata police station, where Dagoretti Ndonyo is not very far, considering they can pass through Karen. And when she brought the money, when we were wearing our shoes and taking our belts and everything, another policeman came and said, there's a problem. They're already taken the money. There's a problem. And what is the problem? I think there's another case that's just come up that you people have been mistaken, probably have been mistaken. But don't worry, you just get into the cells, just remove your belt again, remove your shoes. And I'm very sure right now you'll be going out again. You'll be going out again. Later on, we spent the night there. Yeah, just that way. Just night came, we spent there. You cannot knock on the cells. You cannot quest so hard. The next day, we prompted them to see the OCS. And the OCS is the one who, when we went to see him, he told us, unfortunately, there is somebody said that you people are suspects to have robbed one Mr. He was called David. And there was a justice of the High Court. He was a judge of the High Court. And I said, oh my God, are you serious? You're talking to me or us? So actually the OCS just told us, we are sorry about this thing. It's just somebody who said they saw you. So what you're going to do tomorrow, not today, tomorrow, yeah, we're going to call in the witnesses. Yeah, we're going to call in the judge and his family, and they'll put you on a parade. They'll parade you. We will parade you, and then definitely, because you're not the guys who stole in their place, they won't point at you people. You see, and then you'll be let to go. You know, I said, okay. So there was another day. So the other day, that was, the fourth day, I think so. In Langata, we were paraded. We were paraded in a group of 9 people. All of us were 9. But my in-law, my brother-in-law, was not put in my line. I was put in a different line, and he was put in a different line. And when these people came, the judge, first of all, he was the first one who came as the first witness. And he came and he was told to look around if there's somebody who actually is one of, somebody among the people, among the 9, might have been one of the people or the suspect who robbed him in his house. Could he identify any? That's what he was asked to do. And if you identify, go tap his right shoulder. So the judge actually looked all around, and he looked again, and he was told, look again, and he looked again, and he was told, look the third time, and he said, there's nobody. And he said, thank you, and he left. The second person who came was his son. So the son came, and the son also looked, and he didn't identify anybody. And then came Matilda. Matilda, this was a cousin to the family, to the wife's side, and Matilda just pointed at me. But Matilda was told to touch my right shoulder, but she refused. She felt shy, and she walked with her hands on her face. She didn't touch my shoulder. But Susan touched my shoulder. Are you sure? She said, yes, but she was told not but. Are you sure? Yes, she said, yes, I'm sure. So what happens after that? That means that I was identified. But it never came into me. It never dawned on me that I was identified. So when it all finished, I said, so we can go home. I was told, your brother, yes, can go home, but you, no. Your brother-in-law can go home. He was not identified, but you are identified by 2 people. The wife and the cousin. So yeah, we just have to take you to court tomorrow. Don't worry. When you go to court, you just go and take a plea, and you say you're not guilty, and then things are just, you know that naivety. Yeah, I'm naive and like, okay, let's go to court. I'll say I plead not guilty. But this case is a case of robbery with violence, contrary to Section 296 of the Penal Code, which actually states that during that time, you're hanged, you're sentenced to death. During that time, it was not life imprisonment. It later came to become life imprisonment when Kibaki came in. Yeah? And even now, there's still life imprisonment, death sentence. But when Kibaki came, he commuted everybody who was in death sentence to life imprisonment. But there's still death sentence in Kenya. So when I went to court the next day, it was on a Monday, I remember. Was it the next day? Yeah, probably it was the next day because I didn't stay anyway. Literally, I can't remember. It was the next day, but I went to court immediately after I had done my parade. And when I was asked, okay, my name, what's your name? My name, blah, blah, blah. Yes, okay. And then the judge came in and said, Mr. Antony Mwiti, on this particular date, on the 11th June of 2005, you with others not before this court, armed with dangerous weapons, namely pistols and pangas and rungus, stormed into the house of Justice in his Langata Civil House number 27 and stole from him and the wife and his two nephews and a niece of this blah, 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 4 counts, all of them. There were 4 counts. His jewelries and his watch and all that, amounting to hundreds of thousands. The ladies also lost some cash, about 90,000 cash money, and some jewelry. And Matilda, the lady who was who pinpointed me that at the parade, she said she lost a mobile phone and some jewelries also. And there's another lady now who I'm going to tell you later how she came in. She was called Lynette, also lost her phone. So when I was asked all those things, I said, yes, I'm not guilty. I didn't do these things, sir. In fact, I said, I asked, are you guilty or not guilty? I said, I didn't do these things, because I don't know these languages. So you're not guilty? No, I'm not guilty. Okay, you'll be remanded in committee maximum prison. That was a shock. You'll be remanded in committee maximum prison until your case is heard and otherwise proven not guilty. That time, I'm looking at the judge. I didn't have a lawyer. I don't know what to say. But I don't know what. But the only thing that I noticed is that a prison warden just took my hands and cuffed them. And I was taken and pushed. The way I walked in is not the way I went through. I went through a back door. There was nobody in that court. Because I didn't intend anybody to come anyway. I was just going to say I'm not guilty and I'd walk home. I'm not the one. So nobody saw me being taken to committee. Nobody knew. Not my parents, not my wife, nobody. I thought it was all a joke. I thought the judge would say, I'm just joking,